Good afternoon, people. So, will it be easy? No. Worth it? Absolutely. You must be wondering, why did I write this on the board? Because I don't want to give any kind of false hope to everyone who's watching this session. You need to understand, this journey is not going to be easy. But trust me, based on my experience, this is one journey which is worth making, irrespective of the result, whether you clear or you don't. If you clear, that's a win-win situation. You fulfill the dream of becoming the officer which you wanted to. And even if, God forbid, you don't manage to clear this exam, trust me, if you've been sincere, honest in your efforts, you will turn out to be a rational, aware, and informed person, which will take you to places. So on this note, we will be starting this session where you don't have to fret over the result, where you don't have to panic whether I'll make it or not. You just have to learn that how to make the entire process of this preparation worthy enough, that the day when the result comes, no matter what it is, not for even a second, you will think that what if I would have made more effort? That will be the day when you will be telling yourself, I was 100% honest in every effort which I made, so this result doesn't bother me. Is that very clear? We are here to guide you, to tell you that how to make the most out of your preparation. It's not a journey of 2 months, 3 months. Considerably a very long period of time is required to prepare for this exam. And every step that you make in this process of exam has to come from here. It has to be heartfelt effort. It should not be seen as a burden. It should be seen that you are making that effort with utmost sincerity and honesty, that you should not regret. And trust me, if you've been honest in your preparation, there would not be a single moment when you will be regretting that why did you prepare for this exam. Because this exam makes you so knowledgeable, this exam makes you a better person, this exam tells you that there is a larger life which is waiting for you outside. Abhi tak to all of us are living in our own cocoon. Some are engineers, some are doctors, some are CA, some are MBA, some are graduates, postgraduates in humanities or whatever subjects that you've chosen. You will be stepping out of your cocoon. You will be getting to know about other disciplines. So this is one exam which makes you so aware that you start feeling good about yourself. Oh, is this so? It is. Oh, this is how the finance is working, economy is operating, polity is working. So it gives you that amount of knowledge. You get to know more about your society in which you've been living for so many years without even knowing that how it works. So that gives you a sense of confidence that shapes your personality. So take this examination as a process, as a journey, not as a destination. So on this note, we'll be starting today's session. So I welcome you all. My name is Smriti Shah. I am a faculty of Society, Ethics, Post-Independence, Sociology with Vision IS. I've been associated with Vision IS, I think this is my 9th year, to be precise. Yes, this is my 9th year. So it's been a long association with this institute, and without acting as a advertising agent or a brand ambassador, one thing about this institute is what I have learned personally as a person is how to be committed and how to be honest in every endeavor which you take. And this is what we expect from our students also. So on this note, we will be starting how to prepare Indian society. Is that very clear? Let's have a look at the screen. Okay. See, as far as Indian society is concerned, we all know one thing. I am hoping that we know that it is not a subject which was originally there as a part of UPSC syllabus. It was basically in 2013 when the syllabus underwent a change, and UPSC thought, let us introduce a separate section, and the section would be on Indian society. Now, the thing which actually makes us wonder is the questions which are asked as a part of society is nothing new. Obviously, the questions on women, tribes, caste, religious minorities, communalism that have been asked in UPSC since time. So, ऐसा कुछ नहीं था that all of a sudden these new questions have been asked. But despite that, a new dedicated section has been introduced in the syllabus. That means UPSC has raised the bar of its expectation from the aspirants. They are looking for something, है ना? So that is why they asked us to separately prepare for this section. Now see, we will be coming here telling you that what's so important about this section, why you are supposed to prepare. See, the purpose here is to give you the right kind of guidance. You all know that there is something called smart study and there is something called hard study, right? Smart work versus hard work. If you are preparing for this exam, one thing is for sure, we know that you are a hardworking student. Otherwise, not everyone has the courage to prepare for this exam. So take pride in the fact that you have decided to prepare for this exam because it is a matter of courage. Lot of perseverance, dedication is required to prepare for this exam. So if you have chosen to prepare for this exam, you are already above the rest. Is that clear? So take pride in that matter, that you have taken the decision to prepare for such a coveted examination, which requires a lot of dedication. But then your hard work will give you the desired result if you are smart also. Is that clear? So how to make that hard work, convert it into smart work, that is what the mentors are here for. Because based on our experiences, based on the mistakes which we have committed in our life, we want that you should not commit the same mistakes. Chanakya कहता है ना, that learn from the mistakes of others, because you are not going to live long enough to make all those mistakes by yourself. हमारी गलतियों से सीखो यार, तुम नई गलतियां करना, but वो गलतियां मत करो, the one which we have already made. Is that clear? ठीक है. So basically, you need to understand how we are going to proceed in today's session is, these are going to be the dimensions of today's session. We'll be starting with why, as in why Indian society needs to be prepared, what is supposed to be prepared in Indian society, and finally, how one is supposed to prepare. This is a personal opinion that every section that you cover, and this is what I think previously, yesterday's session also, the faculties have talked about their respective why, what, and how. Because this is how you can prepare or streamline your entire preparation. Is that clear? So to begin with, why to study Indian society? This is important. Why it is important to understand? Because you need to understand that rationale behind which or based on which UPSC has incorporated this section in your syllabus. The moment you understand the rationale, it would be easy to channelize your preparation in the desired direction. First and foremost, you need to develop a thought process, perspective. You must be thinking कि ये कौन सी नई बात है, ये तो हम करते ही हैं, नहीं करते हो आप लोग. पता क्या होता है यूजुअली, आप क्या, हम में से भी कोई नहीं करता था. प्रॉब्लम क्या होती है, हम पूछते हैं, should reservation be there or not? Are you getting the point? How can I tell you? I can tell you the positives of reservation. I can tell you the limitations of reservation. Now, as an aware citizenry, that's your job to decide whether it should be there or not. So your thought process has to be built. I can tell you that which approach, there are different approaches for tribal development. I am not teaching, we are just discussing. I'm just giving you examples. Okay. So, okay, let's take an example which you all must be aware of. Migration. By in backdrop of COVID, everybody has heard about the migration issues. Now, the question can be that should migration be stopped? Because of migration, there is a lot of infrastructure problem which is being created in urban areas. So I can tell you that what are the arguments in the favor of migration. I can tell you what are the arguments against the concept of migration. But ultimately, what should be the thought process that you will be developing? You should have your own opinion. You should not be influenced by the opinion of others. You should only be influenced by the arguments. And based on arguments, you should arrive at your own thought process. The more you are open, transparent, and honest about your thought process, the better it would be reflected in your answer writing. Once you develop a thought process, the second important thing is that you should be aware about all the nuances of Indian society. whether it is caste, whether it is tribal, whether it is women, whether it is minority, migration, secularism, everything. You should have the clarity about each and every aspect of Indian society. And once you have the clarity, then obviously, when you are writing the examination, you are writing the examination from the point of view that tomorrow you are going to be an administrator. So being an administrator, you should have the personality of problem solving. So given the social problems, you should always come up with the rational and practical solutions to eradicate that problem. Simple. Look at the screen again. So if you look at the three terms which has been written here, to develop the perspective on Indian social system, to sensitize the governments on the discourses of society, and to apply the best practices of governance in the eradication of social problem. You must be wondering, why did we mention that? Now look at these 3 points again and tell me, isn't it the structure of most of your answers? The introduction talks about the perspective. The body of your answer talks about the problems or the current reality, and the conclusion talks about the solution. Why am I telling you this? Is that from the next time, whenever you are reading the newspaper, whenever you read any problem, for example, let us talk about migration, since it's there. If I would have been in your place, the perspective I would have with respect to migration is that it's not about negative or positive, or whether migration is the root cause of many problems. Migration is an organic phenomena which is bound to happen. And you have the constitutional right also under Article 19 to migrate. Obviously, there are certain reasonable restrictions, but despite that, you have the right to migrate to any which part of the country, barring the restricted areas. So the point here is that migration is your right. I am just giving you an example to justify how to prepare. So migration is your right. It is a phenomena which is bound to happen, right? So now the second thing that you have to, this is the perspective, that you will never say that migration needs to be stopped. No. Migration is a phenomena. It's a process which will happen. But what needs to be done is, given the problems which are existing associated with migration, you have to come up with solutions. So first, what is the perspective? A very open perspective that migration has to happen. It will happen. No one can stop it, right? But in order to smoothen the process of migration, you have to develop the source region also, and you have to accordingly develop the destination region also. Simple. And for that development, what needs to be done? So you will be coming up with all the problems associated with migration, and you will be coming up with all the solutions. So the solution would not be there to stop migration as a phenomena. The solutions would be to address the problems which are related with the phenomena of migration. Is that very clear for everyone? This is what I mean when I say that there has to be a perspective, there has to be understanding about the problems, the current status, and finally you will be coming up with the solutions. And the solutions not always needs to be utopian or idealistic. They have to be practical also. Is that very clear for everyone? Chalo. Next thing. Let's talk business. Obviously, we are not here to prepare for anything which is not important from examination point of view. Hamara ek clear funda hai, we have to clear this exam at any cost. Now, this is, Indian society is basically the part or the section in your GS paper 1. If I talk about GS paper 1 only, this is a significant portion. Approximately 90-75. This has been the weightage of society just in paper 1. So out of 250, if 90 is the weightage which is given to Indian society questions, it has a considerable weightage. And why am I saying this is, I know not to offend any other section which is there. Do you realize how many areas you have in GS paper 1? You have art and culture, you have modern Indian history, you have world history, you have geography, you have post-independence, you have Indian society, too many things, right? In 250 marks. So you need to understand. Abhi faculty, sir aayenge, baat karenge aapse. Art and culture, maximum 1 or 2 questions you will be getting. And many a times the questions are such that it would be difficult to attempt. World history, sir must have already told you that again there will be 1 or 2 odd questions, sometimes 1 question also, but there is too much to be covered, right? Similarly, modern Indian history, it is easy to attempt, but then hardly over the years we have seen that they are not asking much questions, like 2 to 3 questions max. Geography is one area which requires considerable attention because 6 to 7 questions are there. But even then, in geography, you have to study because it's a technical subject, it's an objective subject. Either you know or you don't know. You can't bluff. What is cryosphere? Can you bluff? What is mantle plume? Can you bluff? Either you know or you don't know. The best thing about society is you can never say that you don't know. You can write something on everything. You cannot write, I don't know what are women problems in India. I don't know what are the challenges confronted by women. This is the question which is asked. The question UPSC asked, is poverty responsible for population growth or population growth responsible for poverty? You cannot say, I can't answer, I don't know. This is one debate which we've been studying since school. So you cannot say that. So trust me, this is one section which keeps you busy in the entire first paper of UPSC. Because for rest of the sections, either you know or you don't know. वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री में तो कभी कभी ऐसे सवाल पूछते हैं जो आपको पता ही नहीं है कहां से पूछ रहे हैं. So society is one area which will keep you busy, and trust me, if you want to surpass that 100 digit in that paper, it is important to attempt this section properly. Actually, the problem, the challenge is, sometimes it appears to be too easy to answer. As a result, we don't prepare much, and we end up writing the answers which are not very value enriched answer, to be very precise. See, this exam, if you understand, is not about how well you have written. It is how relatively you are better than the other candidate. It's all about relative performance. Maybe you have written not so bad answer, but the person just before you has written a brilliant answer. Obviously, automatically the amount of marks that you have scored will reduce. So it's not about how you are faring. It is how better you are as compared to others. So the easiest question is the most difficult to answer, because then you have to present your answer in the best possible manner. And it is this area in society which needs to be worked upon. That is answer writing and more practice, which we'll just discuss in some time. But did you get the idea? Most importantly, society is not only asked in GS paper 1. If you realize there is entire paper on ethics, GS paper 4. So what is ethics? It's a prescribed code of conduct which respect to right and wrong at societal level. So if you don't understand the nuances of society, it would be difficult to answer the question in ethics paper. Most of your case studies are rooted in the problems which are existing in the society. So social issues, social problems needs to be delved upon. Then essay writing. Approximately, without any exaggeration, at least 2 topics every year would be from Indian society. So if you nail this section, it would be easy for you to attempt at least 2 topics, और वही attempt करना होता है. अगर एक ही section में भी आ जाते हैं, तो at least 1 topic from Indian society you will be able to attempt. Is that very clear for everyone? Okay. So having said that, this is the importance of the paper. Now let us look at the syllabus. See, I know a lot of questions which would be there, ma'am, which book to read, what not to read, what to prepare. I know this is coming up. Just one piece of request, let me finish the session. And even after that, I have not answered any question of yours, just feel free to ask. But let me just finish because I think I will be able to answer all the queries. So let's see that. Okay. So if you look at the syllabus, there's one thing. We do not have a standard book as far as society is concerned. Because if you look at the syllabus classification, there would not be a single book where you would be getting information about all these topics. So the second thing, the next thing that you have to learn is deconstruction of syllabus. Based on my previous year experiences, right from 2013 onwards, I have noticed one thing. UPSC never asks out of syllabus. Very rare it happens that it is asking out of syllabus or something which you have not prepared, right? The problem is we don't understand the syllabus. We don't focus on the syllabus. So the next thing that you have to do is deconstruction of syllabus. Every topic needs to be deconstructed. For example, there is no book which clearly defines that what are salient features. So if you have to prepare salient features of Indian society, you need to understand salient means those unique features which gives a proper characteristic or which is the defining characteristic of your society. So there are certain features which are the defining traits of your society. For example, diversity. Do you agree to this or not? Diversity is the most defining characteristic of Indian society. Now you can further deconstruct it. There are different diversities which are existing. I am telling you how to prepare. See, there would be some of you who would be joining certain institutions, whether us or some other institution. There would be some who would be going for self-study. So basically, in every which way, this is going to help you. Even if you are planning self-study, this is how you have to channelize your preparation. So with respect to diversity, there is linguistic diversity, there is religious diversity, there is regional diversity, racial diversity, ethnic diversity. There are different diversities which are existing in context of India. There are two which I have not mentioned, class and caste. Class I did not mention because that is not very unique to Indian society. Class-based diversity is a global phenomena, right? As far as caste would be a separate topic. Caste system is the most defining characteristic of Indian society, so caste system would be discussed separately. As far as diversity is concerned, you need to understand how you have to prepare yourself. With respect to every diversity, I hope the intent is getting conveyed. With respect to every diversity, obviously diversity will be causing certain problems. है ना? तभी तो कहते हैं ना कि diversity at times act as a threat to national integration. Sometimes, not always. So every diversity will be having certain problems associated with it. For example, linguistic nationalism. For example, communalism, regionalism, racial intolerance, ethno-nationalism. So you will be preparing every diversity along with the problems which are associated with the diversity. Is that clear? So, and if you notice in your syllabus, communalism, regionalism are given as a separate topic. Screen dikhaiye. If you look at the fourth column, so you have social empowerment and then you have communalism, regionalism. So that would be covered along with diversity. That is why I say that there has to be interlinkages. So it makes your preparation easy. That in what context? For example, current affairs ko link karo. Linguistic nationalism, Gorkha land issue. There was an issue when they were talking about implementation of Hindi as a compulsory language in South Indian states. So they kind of resented against it, right? So that is nothing but linguistic nationalism. There is an increasing demand of teaching in elementary education in mother tongue. What is that? It is linguistic nationalism. Not always these problems are detrimental. We'll discuss when we are discussing in the classroom program. You need to understand, when I say that you have to develop a thought process, what I mean when I say that is you should never take diversity in India per se as a threat. Diversity is the defining character, and India is known by another salient feature, that is unity in diversity. So you can never say that diversity per se is a threat. But yes, definitely there are certain problems associated which needs to be resolved. Similarly, with religion, there is communalism. There have been lot many incidences of communal violence which has been existing, or regionalism. Okay. Demand for separate nation sometimes, demand for separate state sometimes. So that creates a problem. So that problem needs to be amicably resolved, and you have to prepare the solution. This is how you have to prepare. So the salient feature may you study diversity as a comprehensive topic. The next topic that you study is caste system. Along with diversity, you are also studying unity in diversity. Abhi tak pehle topic ka deconstruction chal raha hai. Another salient feature which is important is joint family. It is a defining characteristic of Indian society. Then another topic that you have is patriarchy. The kind of patriarchy is practiced in India is a salient feature of Indian society. And if you look at the syllabus, there is a topic in your syllabus which says role of women and women organization. So patriarchy would be dealt in detail, where every women issue from every which perspective will be addressed. I'll take up at least one topic to give you that how the flow chart or how the mind map has to be prepared as far as topics is concerned. So koi bhi ek topic last mein utha lenge and I'll give you the idea. Is that clear? So is this topic, itna deconstruction clear ho raha hai? Okay. Then after patriarchy, secularism. The kind of secularism which is practiced in India is very different from that of West. So that makes it a defining characteristic of Indian society. Then, India is a multicultural society. Indian society currently is in transition. Transition, what I mean is neither it is no longer traditional nor it has completely become modern. So somewhere we are in the process of transition, which has also created various problems in Indian society, which we'll discuss when we are studying properly. But did you get the point that how the first topic needs to be deconstructed? Now look at the syllabus again. Syllabus दिखा दीजिए ना. If I look at the topic here, so role of women and women organization will be dealt very comprehensively when we are discussing patriarchy as a salient feature of Indian society. Then we have effect of globalization on Indian society. See, do you understand that everything under the sun can be incorporated as a part of Indian society? And UPSC has just given one statement, effect of globalization on Indian society. How are we supposed to prepare? That becomes a challenge. Let us say Indian society can be characterized having two dimensions to it. One is structure and other is culture. I am just telling you how you are supposed to prepare. We are not discussing the topic per se, but this is how you should prepare. Structure can further be divided into various sections and various institutions. The impact on culture can be defined or discussed from these dimensions: homogenization, hybridization, and revival of local culture. We'll just discuss few of the previous year questions just to give you an idea that what we are discussing so far, you will be able to answer all the questions. Okay. See, under sections, what I mean is like women, old age, youth, SC/ST, person with disability, etc. Institution, family, caste, marriage, education system, media, etc. UPSC says prepare the impact of globalization on Indian society. Nowhere it defines that what all can come under Indian society. That is where the importance of deconstruction comes. You can deconstruct Indian society in two components, structure and culture. Trust me, you will not go wrong. The kind of questions UPSC is asking is, discuss the impact of globalization on women. Discuss the impact of globalization on old age. Are you getting the point? So you have to prepare all the vulnerable sections. Similarly, they can ask to what extent caste system has been annihilated in the context of Indian society. So one of the impact would be of globalization. Did you get the point? So how globalization has altered the institution of family, marriage, caste, education system, media. You have to prepare all these topics discretely, separately. Is that clear? But this is one common area. I think approximately 3 questions have been asked from this area. And the answer more or less remains the same. The only thing which differs is how to structure and what to write and what not to write. Overall answer remains the same. कभी कभी क्या होता है कोई एक particular dimension लिखने की जरूरत होती है. We'll just discuss. But what I'm trying to tell you here is this would be your assignment. If you are preparing for this section, try to look for innovative examples. What do I mean when I say homogenization? That is uniformity in the culture. I'm just giving you an idea that you have to prepare these examples. You cannot write an example which is commonly everybody is writing. For example, how globalization has resulted into homogenization. Culture का मतलब होता है way of life. Your values, beliefs, food habits, dressing style, everything, speech, language, everything is a part of culture. So what I'm trying to say, in homogenization, for example, junk food culture, McDonaldization of food habits, that is homogenization. Pizza burger culture which is emerging. Are you getting the point? Obsession with English language. If you don't know how to speak English, it seems in India that you are not very educated, which is absolutely a myth. Language is just a medium of communication. How did it become the status of your intellectual capacity? I did not understand that. But that is what is homogenization, obsession with English language. Hybridization means nothing but globalization. ग्लोबल प्लस लोकल. अपने एग्जाम्पल्स खुद तैयार करो. रीमिक्स म्यूजिक कल्चर, ग्लोबल प्लस लोकल. मैकडोनल्ड्स गोइंग वेजिटेरियन ड्यूरिंग नवरात्रि, ग्लोबलाइजेशन. Hollywood movies getting dubbed in regional languages, localization. Is that very clear? Revival of local culture. When your own local culture is getting represented on the global platform. International Yoga Day. Is that clear? Religious revivalism. Prepare more examples. Prepare at least 5-6 examples from every aspect, all the 3 aspects. And the topics is prepared. You don't have to do much in Indian society. All you need to do is deconstruct, and for every topic have at least 200 to 250 words write up, so that in case the question comes, you were able to comfortably answer. So उसके लिए आप self study भी करना चाहो तो कर सकते हो. Absolutely no issues. Is that clear? ठीक है? Next, let's look at the syllabus. There is a topic social empowerment here. See, you need to understand social empowerment is slightly different from political and economic empowerment. If I go by the definition of social empowerment, it says autonomy with respect to decision making and confidence to bring about changes in the society. So what you need to understand, if I go by this definition, can I say that this can become the conclusion of most of your questions? As in when you are writing the answer, it can become the conclusion. For example, Indian government has made lot of efforts for political empowerment and economic empowerment of women. But where are we lacking is social empowerment. Let me give you an example, you will understand better what I'm trying to say. Women has representation, or there is reservation for women in panchayat. So that means political empowerment of women is taking place, but then there is a problem of sarpanch pati, mukhiya pati to be very precise. That means although she has been given the post of sarpanch, what she doesn't have is the autonomy with respect to decision making. That means although political empowerment has been there, but what is still missing out is the social empowerment. Similarly, women is now getting represented in the labor market. She is getting access to job. She is getting access to financial independence. But despite that, National Family Health Survey report says 89% of the women do not have the freedom to spend the money that they are earning. Matlab, they have access to job, they are earning money, but then they don't have the freedom to spend the money which they are only earning. So that means what is missing is autonomy with respect to decision making, that is social empowerment. So can we say in most of your answers, social empowerment has to be the thought process, that no amount of political economic empowerment will give you the desired result in the absence of social empowerment. This has to be the approach with respect to all the vulnerable sections. Is that very clear? Is it making sense? Can we proceed? Then, obviously, communalism, regionalism, which we have already talked about, that we will discuss as a part of salient feature. Secularism would also be separately discussed as a part of salient feature. ठीक है, मैं एक टॉपिक बता दूंगी कि किस तरह से तैयार करना है, so you will get a better idea. Then population and associated issues. This is most important topic because every year at least 1 to 2 questions are there. It is slightly long topic, so इसका हम bifurcation करके बता देते that how you are supposed to prepare this topic. I'm just giving you one bifurcation to give you an understanding that how this topic needs to be prepared. Let us say the topic is population and associated issues. This is what I say, flow chart or proper deconstruction of the topic. So if you look at it, population and associated issue, start with the debate, which is often associated with high population or growth of population, that whether this growing population is an asset or it is a liability. There is an important topic associated, that is demography. Demography basically means characteristic of the population. You will study it as what is concept, what are the types of demography, what is demographic dividend. The possibility of asking question on demographic dividend is very high. Already UPSC has asked it also once. Then what are the factors which are responsible for population change? Fertility, mortality, migration. See, migration is a very important topic, especially in the backdrop of COVID. But secondly, migration separately is nowhere mentioned in your syllabus. That is the importance of deconstruction of the syllabus. So fertility, mortality and migration, and each of these three topics have to be prepared in detail. In some time, I'll tell you how social issues have to be prepared. Then vulnerable sections, child, old age, person with disability, transgender. You can add tribals to it. Women I have not added because we have already covered that. Then at last, population policy in India. Again, very important topic. It's been 20 years since last population policy has emerged. So it becomes again very important to prepare these topics, and this is how it has to be prepared. This is just one example I'm giving that how the topics have to be prepared. I'm not here to teach you, just to guide you that how deconstruction has to be done in today's session at least. Is that very clear for everyone? Let's look at the other topics. See, poverty is UPSC's favorite topic. Either you have questions or you have an essay topic entirely to poverty. Poverty is also mentioned in GS paper 2, poverty and hunger. It becomes very important, right? So poverty has to be prepared in detail. What is concept of poverty, approaches to poverty, different manifestations of poverty, measures, estimates of poverty, which you study in economy, causes of poverty, consequences of poverty, government efforts, what are the lacunas and what should be the way forward. So in detail, you have to deconstruct every topic so as to that you have sufficient content. And trust me, ये आज बहुत मेहनत लग रही होगी कि अरे इतना करना पड़ेगा, ये एक बार की मेहनत है. And once you are done with it, ऐसा तो है नहीं कि कहीं लिखा है कि poverty can be asked only in society. What if they ask you in economy paper? What if they ask you how poverty is posing governance challenges, or it is one of the major challenges confronting Indian government since time? GS paper 2 में already UPSC पूछ चुका है about poverty. There has been an entire essay topic on poverty. So none of your effort will ever go waste. This much is something which I can guarantee. Is that clear? So don't shy away from putting in the hard work. Is that clear? And please do not think about the result. Do not think about that whether this effort would be fruitful or not. But yes, make the efforts in the right direction. That is all what we expect. Clear hai? Ek last topic dekho. Urbanization, problems and remedies. Ye already deconstructed hai. What is urbanization? What are the problems associated with urbanization? And what will be the possible solution? So this is how you prepare yourself. Is that very clear? Let's very quickly have a look at previous year questions. See, one thing, let me tell you about the teaching pedagogy. We will be giving you these flowcharts in the beginning of every topic to give you an understanding that how the topic has to be prepared. Then every topic would be prepared in detail. At the end of every topic, whatever is the current relevance of that particular issue, those current contemporary issues would be taken up. Okay? For example, if I have to teach you population policy, I will be talking about population policy in India, how it has evolved, what were the reasons for its failure. It is the high time, it's 20 years now. So what kind of population policy are we looking forward, and what should be the ultimate solution? So based on whatever is your contemporary, conventional understanding, it would be applied to the contemporary realities. Is that clear? Now just look at the question. Look at the third question. Examine the effect of globalization on aged population in India. सही एकदम डायरेक्ट सवाल यूपीएससी पूछती है. अगर तो तैयारी कर रखी है, you will be able to write the answer. और ऐसा नहीं है कि suppose you have not prepared, you will not be able to write something. Obviously उस वक्त दिमाग लगा के कुछ तो लिख ही लोगे. But the challenge is in 3 hours when you have to write 20 answers, then you do not have much time to think. So you should already have certain fodder prepared so that in examination you only need to focus on the context in which the question has been asked and how it needs to be presented. If you will start deliberating on the content in the examination, it would be a challenge to complete the paper. So fodder has to be prepared beforehand. कहते हैं ना, if you want to bleed less in war, you need to sweat more in peace. So please sweat more in peace and prepare these handouts. Anyway, so look at the first question. I am not here to discuss the answer. I will just tell you what kind of questions UPSC can ask and how you can prepare yourself. If you look at the first question, see, urbanization per se is a positive phenomena. It shows sign of progress, that how society is getting transitioned. But UPSC is asking you the problems associated with urbanization. Pehli baat, so it is directly from the syllabus. What are the problems? And second, you need to keep in mind that whenever there is any issue right in front of you, you have to prepare both the argument as well as the counter argument. I'll give you an example. Do you all agree that child labor is a problem in Indian society? We all agree. You can obviously, when you will be preparing child labor as an issue, because in the backdrop of COVID, again, child labor has become an important matter of consideration. What we will be preparing? What is the statistics of child labor? What are the causes? What are the consequences? Government efforts, lacunas, what should be the way forward? What if UPSC asks you the question that what are the problems associated with abolition of child labor? Did you get the point what I'm trying to ask here? Okay, if I ask you the question, what are the economic and social consequences of abolishing child labor? You know the positive consequences, right? But you also have to write the negative consequences. Because for every topic that you prepare, what you need to do is SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunity and threat. Prepare your threats as well. That in case immediately, आज तक क्यों नहीं government ने child labor completely abolish किया? You know ना कि child labor is still persisting. Because less than 14 में family enterprises or audiovisual industry, entertainment industry में it is allowed, barring circus. And 14 to 18 it is allowed, barring the prohibited industries. So child labor is persisting. Why? Because it is always said that given the nature of poverty, child labor completely cannot be eradicated in India. ये गुरुपद स्वामी committee ने कहा था. But irrespective of that, that's not my concern. My concern is that what is the threat? If today immediately I abolish child labor, then what would be the threat which will be generated? So I am trying to say, always prepare argument as well as counter argument, no matter how much on the face value the topic appears to be in certain direction. Is that clear? For example, feminization of agriculture. Increased presence हो रही है women की agriculture में. Obviously, it is a sign of economic prosperity. But then there are so many challenges which women is confronting in the agriculture sector. Prepare argument as well as counter argument. This is what I'm trying to draw your attention to the fact. Is that very clear? Next. Look at the question. Last question. How do Indian debates on secularism differ from that of West? Same question they have asked again in 2018. So that is why it is important to prepare previous year questions, because chances of repeating the questions is also very high in UPSC. They might alter the statement, but more or less answer remains the same. But isme to question bhi same hai. Then look at the third question. The life cycle of a joint family depends on economic factors rather than social values. My question to you, was joint family there in your syllabus? No. Once you deconstructed, you understood that you have to prepare joint family. A general understanding which is existing in our mindset is, traditionally we were joint, today we have become nuclear. UPSC has asked the question life cycle. So you also have to complete the cycle. What I'm trying to say is that sometimes what you know might not have been asked. So answer accordingly what is being asked. तो जब लाइफ साइकिल पूछ लिया है और सपोज करो आपको सिर्फ इतना ही पता था कि फ्रॉम जॉइंट वी आर बिकमिंग न्यूक्लियर, तो उस समय 2 मिनट सोचो कि हाउ कैन वी लिंक इट अगेन बैक टू जॉइंट, हाउ कैन वी से कि अगेन न्यूक्लियर फैमिलीज आर बिकमिंग जॉइंट, एंड राइट एटलीस्ट 1 or 2 arguments. Otherwise your answer, no matter it is not wrong, but it has not answered the demand of the question which is being asked. So be very specific about these nuances in the questions. Is that clear? Let's look at this next year. So these are few things which you have to keep in mind. Look at the third question. How do you explain the statistics which shows that sex ratio in tribes is more favorable to women than sex ratio among scheduled caste? Many of you have a doubt that how and in what capacity the reports have to be prepared. Obviously, census report अगले साल आ जाएगी. तो census report of 2011 clearly says, the last census report, that sex ratio among scheduled caste is 945. Sex ratio समझते हैं ना, number of females per 1,000 males. So 945. But in scheduled tribes, it's 990. This is the statistics that you've got from census. UPSC will never ask you the statistics. They will ask you the reason behind that statistic. So whenever you come across any statistics, and if you think that is worth asking, not every random statistics, but if you think it is worth asking, just devote some time to understand that what are the possible causes and what can be the implication of that statistics. This is how you prepare yourself. Is that clear? For example, aging population, old age population. Currently it is 8.6% and it is expected it will increase to 20% by 2050. Now, this is the statistics. That means we are moving towards old age population. We are moving towards aging. Now, the question can be, what are the factors responsible for it? And what will be the consequences of this changing population nature? With more population in old age bracket, what will be the consequences? इस तरह का सवाल यूपीएससी पूछती है. ये नहीं पूछेगी कि ओल्ड एज में कितनी पॉपुलेशन है और क्या है. So whenever you come across a statistic, devote some time to it, just to understand what can be the possible causes and what can be the possible consequences. And trust me, UPSC is not looking for the best answer. Absolutely not. Hardly 3-4 arguments as causes and 3-4 arguments in the consequences and you are done. इतना तो स्कोप ही नहीं है आंसर लिखने का. 10 नंबर का तो क्वेश्चन आता है कुल में. मैक्सिमम है 10 marker और 15 marker, right? और 15 markers में भी often there are sub parts to it. So what you need to understand is what they are not looking for is the model kind of an answer, but it should be contextually correct, relevant, content wise you should not bluff, and it should be presented in a manner that it holds the attention of the examiner. That's it. Okay? So don't look for that best possible and don't unnecessarily waste your time looking for a lot of arguments or the content. Minimum possible content which can be presented in the best possible manner. Is that very clear for everyone? Okay. Look at the fourth question. Discuss the positive negative impact of globalization on women in India. अब इससे ज्यादा स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछ सकते. तैयारी करी है तो अच्छा आंसर लिख लोगे, नहीं तो कोई बात नहीं. Fifth question. Discuss the changes in the trends of labor migration within and outside India in the last 4 decades. Did you get the point? Debate the issue whether and how contemporary movements for assertion of Dalit identity work towards annihilation of caste. इस साल थोड़ा सा पेपर डिफिकल्ट था as compared to, because lot many people did not understand, but if you've studied Dalit movement is a part of caste system also, and Dalit movement you will study in post independence also. So if you know the content you will be able to write the answer. इतना कोई rocket science नहीं है, बस थोड़ी सी मेहनत करनी होगी. Look at this. Look at the third question. Why are tribals in India referred as scheduled tribes? Indicate the major provisions enshrined in the constitution for their upliftment. See, why did I pick up this question is, it is too direct a question. Can you see that they have specifically differentiated the marks weightage also for both the parts? Now in the second part, they are asking you major provisions. Whenever you are preparing the provisions or in general, the efforts for any vulnerable section, you should prepare it in the capacity, constitutional provision, statutory convention, government schemes, any international convention if existing. You can also prepare the case laws. These case laws will be very important for your GS paper 2. Polity में बहुत काम आएंगे कोट करने में. Did you understand? So always prepare at least the most important vulnerable sections. For every vulnerable section, you will not get under all the 5 subheadings, but wherever you get it, just prepare it. चाहे वो tribes हो, चाहे वो दलित हो, चाहे वो women हो, person with disability हो, ठीक है, you child labor हो, so you have to prepare it like this. It gives more value, it adds more value to your answer, and sometimes UPSC specifically asks the question. For example, there they have specifically asked constitutional provision. Bluff नहीं कर सकते हो, articles याद होने चाहिए. Otherwise, it would not serve the purpose. You should know the article which contains the definitional element, or for economic educational interest, for political empowerment, for administrative convenience. जब पढ़ोगे, मुझे पता है अभी थोड़ा भारी हो रहा है ये सब, जब पढ़ोगे पॉलिटी तो अपने आप समझ आ जाएगा that how it is supposed to be written. Is that very clear? ठीक है. Now, Let's take some other question. Okay, read the second question. What are the two legal initiatives by the state since independence addressing discrimination against scheduled tribes? I told you na, prepared statutory convention. So in case you would have prepared this, आपको पता होता Prevention of Atrocity Act, Forest Right Act, Panchayat Extension to Scheduled Areas. You can write any two. Is it making sense? Now, read the third question. I am just telling you which areas you need to focus upon. Read the third question. The spirit of tolerance and love is not only an interesting feature of Indian society from early times, but it is also playing an important part at the present. Elaborate. Why did I pick up this question? The question was asked in 2017. There was a lot of debate that time going in the Indian discourse with respect to intolerance. Right? बहुत सारी intolerance debate थी ना. There were a lot of people who have returned their rewards. Amir Khan's wife was feeling unsafe. So there were many such incidences which were happening, and a lot of intolerance debate. So UPSC asked you a statement, right? The spirit of love and tolerance is not only an interesting feature since early times, but even present. Matlab even it is existing at present level. The question here, the keyword, if you look at, is elaborate, the tail word to be very precise. It is not discuss, it is not comment, it is not critically analyze. It says elaborate. Elaborate का मतलब होता है, given the statement, you don't have to pass the value judgment. You assume the statement to be true and you just elaborate on the statement either by giving examples or by case studies or by statistics and facts. इस क्वेश्चन में you were having no scope to write about intolerance. आपको right from ancient India शुरू हो जाना था. Ancient India, medieval India, modern India, post independence में pre-globalized, post-globalized era, and for every element write two examples where it is the exemplification of the fact that there exists love and tolerance. So whether वो अशोक का धम्मा हो, चाहे वो बुद्धिज्म हो, जैनिज्म हो, चाहे वो अकबर की पॉलिसी हो, चाहे वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन हो, ठीक है. So basically you only have to talk about the incidences where love and tolerance can be justified. There was no scope, not even once the word intolerance was supposed to be written, क्योंकि यहाँ पे discuss, comment, analyze नहीं था, यहाँ पे elaborate था. That is why I chose this question to tell you that the content might be different, context cannot be. So these tail words are very important because they tell you that in which direction the answer has to be written. So if you have written about intolerance debate, chahe briefly ही, it would not be wrong, but that is not the demand of the question, so you will not fetch marks for that. Unnecessarily time or space waste करोगे. इसीलिए for every question, keywords, tail words are very important. Do not ever think that that is going to waste your time. और करना ही क्या है? Positive लिखो, negative लिखो, end कर दो. हर question में तो यही करना होता है. इतना आसान होता तो फिर यूपीएससी ऐसा देता ही क्यों? कहने का मतलब आसान तो है, समझने की जरूरत है. You have to focus on it. Is that clear? ठीक है? And trust me, सच में मुश्किल नहीं है इस एग्जाम को क्लियर करना. बस इतना है कि थोड़ा सा you need to understand this demand of the examination better. Whenever you decide to prepare for this exam, maybe many of you have already decided and have already started. Just consolidate your preparation, as in start identifying the most important area, not so important area, and the least important area. And every day make sure that maximum effort goes into that most important area. Is that very clear? Automatically you will be in a comfortable position after certain months. दूसरा चीज, do not be in a rush or in a hurry. That मुझे आज ही बस पॉलिटी समझ आ जाए, मुझे आज ही, मुझे बहुत सारे मेल्स मैसेजेस आते हैं, मैम मैंने पढ़ा था एक हफ्ते पहले, एक महीने पहले, बट टुडे आई डोंट रिमेंबर. मैंने तो कल की पढ़ी हुई चीज मुझे याद नहीं रहती आज. That's a very human nature, big deal. Today also when I come before the lecture, I have to study. I study every day, and if I'm not prepared, I don't come for the lecture. So that's a very human nature. You have to study, you have to revise every now and then. दिमाग छोटा सा है, सब कुछ नहीं एक साथ आ जाएगा, ठीक है? So the point here is study, revise, study, revise. That should be the technique. And don't have too much of expectation. Unnecessarily don't burden yourself with unrealistic expectation. एक एरिस्टोटल ने एक बड़ा अच्छा स्टेटमेंट बोला था, सेल्फ अवेयरनेस इज द बिगिनिंग ऑफ ऑल विजडम. सेल्फ अवेयरनेस, जस्ट बी अवेयर about your strengths and your weaknesses. Try to play around your strengths and minimize your weaknesses. And trust me, you will sail through. It's not about this examination. It's a philosophy of life, which I have totally, as in I try to imbibe that in my personal life also. You have to be aware. I cannot be good at everything. Same goes for you. You cannot be good at everything. So play around your strengths. I'll tell you how it worked for me. Sometimes students ask in general that how can you make so many flowcharts and ye kaise ho jata hai? I have always been a science student. For me, writing in paragraphs is actually a challenge because I have never done that. So for me, this flowcharts, writing in bullets, making diagrams comes very naturally. So I have learned to play around my strengths and not fret over my weakness. कि what if या मैं तो paragraph writing कर ही नहीं कर पाते कोई बात नहीं है जी, दूसरे तरीके हैं पढ़ने के, दूसरे ढूंढ लेंगे. Is that very clear for everyone? ठीक है, चलो. Okay, we have a question. What level of English is important for clearing this examination? Tajal, as far as my understanding goes, English which is understandable by the person who's reading. Okay, have you watched Three Idiots? वो एक सीन याद है? आमिर खान जवाब देता है, what is a machine? And there was this other guy who gave a very complicated, convoluted English with full-fledged. And फिर वो बोलता है ना कि कहना क्या चाह रहे हो? So the point here is उतनी English लिखो कि सामने वाला समझ जाए कहना क्या चाह रहे हो. So a simple English, well comprehensible, easily understandable by the person who's reading. Trust me, you will sail through. These Tharurization थोड़ी ना करना. With all due respect to Shri Tharoor, I'm a big fan, but Tharurization नहीं करना है पेपर का. Simple, understandable English, neat handwriting. ये भी नहीं कहूंगी बहुत beautiful handwriting होनी चाहिए. कल से पता चला आप cursive handwriting करने बैठ गए. The point here is again, don't fret on your weaknesses. Maximize around your strengths. So what I'm saying is that even if your handwriting is not the beautiful one, just make it legible. It should be understandable. See, you need to understand. Your script is the only mode of communication between you and your examiner. Examiner doesn't know you personally. He doesn't know how much preparation you have done for this exam. What he cares for it is what you have presented on the script. So he should be able to understand your intention. Your intention needs to be conveyed. Simple English, neatly presented answer, well presented with diagrams, flow charts, underlining, highlighting important points. Your job is done. Is that clear? और हिंदू पढ़ लो थोड़ा, इंडियन एक्सप्रेस पढ़ने लग जाओगे, थोड़ी बहुत इंग्लिश तो वैसे ही सुधर जाती है. So उतना फाइट नहीं है. Okay, when we write an answer, how do we keep the linkage between current affairs with the basic things which are given in the book? And how to write a good answer while you're writing an answer from sociology topic? See, Mujibur, you need to understand that for the very first time, you will not be understanding what exactly would be a very good answer. But wait. I'll just answer this. We will be having a session on answer writing also. So there we will deliberate more. But since you've asked the question, I'll give you a piece of advice. What you can do is that go on Vision ka platform. There is a tab, resource, in which topper scripts are uploaded. Okay? Just have a look at those scripts. Not because to copy them, absolutely not. Because it's a good thing that if you notice if you go through those scripts, because you will notice that all of them are toppers. Yet they have different handwriting. Their level of English is very different. But one thing which will be common in almost all the scripts is that they have answered exactly according to the question which has been asked. That is a common trait which you will find in all the topper script. And you will see that how they have accentuated their presentation, how they have better their presentation. So just go through topper scripts, you will get an understanding. Second, how do you keep a linkage with current affairs? What you can do is that, let us suppose we are discussing regionalism, yeah, we are discussing poverty for that matter, or health. Health उठा लेते हैं आजकल, COVID में famous है. So health हम पढ़ रहे हैं. So whenever you are preparing, whenever you are preparing your notes, just draw a margin on the side. I know this sounds very juvenile, why am I telling you this? But this really works. It works for me also. So what you can do is that you prepare health ka basic topic. What is health? What are the issues? What are different tiers of health system? Everything is written. Then suppose you come across a newspaper which talks about how there are gaps in urban health infrastructure. So identify the important points which are written there. Okay. Then you might come up with a news that WHO says that currently there is a problem with infrastructure. For example, number of doctors are less, nurses are less, or for that matter, beds are less. तो वो जो data आता है उसको side में लिख लो. All that data, all that current news, all the arguments will help you enrich your answer. So you will have a comprehensive material, but at the same time, it will be consolidated at one place. So revision would become easy. Is that very clear? I hope this is making sense for everyone. Okay, chalo, let's very jaldi se proceed. Okay, I wanted to discuss this fourth question. Jaldi se dekho. Okay, I am just telling you how to prepare. See, so the fourth question is distinguish between religiousness and communalism. And by giving one example, वो जो दिख नहीं रहा है स्क्रीन के पीछे उसमें लिखा है, by giving one example of how the former has got transformed into latter in post-independent India. I'm not here to discuss the entire question. So let's forget about the first part, that is religiousness and communalism. The main thing which I want to draw your attention to is by giving one example, show how religiousness transforms into communalism in post-independent India. That is my concern. The question was asked in 2017. This was the 25th year of Babri Masjid demolition. Babri Masjid was demolished on 6th of December 1992. The question has been asked in 2017, and trust me, Babri Masjid demolition is a perfect example to show how religiousness transforms into communalism. Why am I saying this is? Because here you can quote about every political party. Rajiv Gandhi government also in 1992, UP government also. So what is communalism? यहाँ पे please अपनी ideologies मत लाना, because I am a very rational person. I do not talk in favor of any particular party. I am a third party. I'm altogether, I am informed citizen. So I am only concerned about development. So यहाँ पे कोई political ideology मत लाना, मैं बस एक fact के basis पे बता रही हूँ. मेरा जो आपका attention draw करने का matter था वो ये था, 5 year, 10 year, 25 year, 50 year, 100 year, अगर किसी भी चीज के होते हैं, the probability of asking the question is very high. The very same year, 2017, in GS paper 2, the question was asked with respect to analysis of National Commission for Women. It was an expected question because 1992 mein National Commission of Women was formed. It was 25 years of National Commission of Women, and asking the question with respect to the evaluation of its performance was an expected question. तो आप ये नहीं कह सकते अरे analysis पूछ लिया, UPSC तो कुछ भी पूछता है, कुछ भी नहीं पूछता है, हमारे ध्यान से उतर गया तैयार करना. So 5 year, 10 year, 25 year, 50 years ध्यान रखा करो. बाकी हम तो हैं ध्यान कराने के लिए. But is that very clear? कोई क्वेश्चन बचता है? सेकंड क्वेश्चन देखो. Globalization is generally said to promote cultural homogenization, but due to this, cultural specificities are getting strengthened. I told you na, homogenization, hybridization, revival of local culture. Standard way of asking. This is the way they ask the question, so you don't have to worry about it. Is that clear? See, second question. How is Indian concept of secularism different from Western model of secularism? I told you, na, they are repeating their question. Last question. Are we losing our local identity for the global identity? Remember, homogenization, hybridization, revival of local culture. So are we losing out on your local identity? It appears that there is homogenization which is taking place due to globalization. So there is global identity formation which is happening. However, there has been incidences of hybridization. There has been incidences of revival of local culture. Hence, we can say local identity is getting strengthened. And then you can give examples. Did you get the point? This is how it has to be done. Is that clear? एक बार फिर से दिखाइए. For fifth question देखो. What are the continued challenges for women in India against time and space? Do you really think that this is a difficult question? This is the easiest question. But trust me, it was actually a challenge to answer this question. कभी-कभी क्या होता है कि you know there are too many challenges which is confronting women, and often students get confused. ये against time and space का क्या करना है? कुछ नहीं करना. Normally challenges लिखने in an evolutionary manner. That's it. So many a times, too much overthinking also can have a negative repercussion. Take the question as it comes to you. Do not overthink. कभी-कभी student को लगता है ना, नहीं यार इसमें कोई catch होगा. ये prelims में अक्सर होता है. UPSC इतना easy सवाल तो पूछ ही नहीं सकती. There must be some catch in this question. And unnecessarily we use our brain. And then we'll come up with certain exceptions and we'll like, I think no one has thought about it. It is only me who has understood this catch. And trust me, it will be a wrong thing. यूपीएससी को इतना ओवर एस्टिमेट मत करो, वो बहुत डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछती, वो नॉर्मल क्वेश्चन पूछती है. इज दैट वेरी क्लियर? ठीक है. सो ऑन दिस नोट, 2019, are you getting an understanding that how the topics have to be approached? The most probable question which would be coming next, what is supposed to be read? ठीक है. See, simple bhasha. If you are planning to join foundation batch, no need to read books as of now. ठीक है. You will be reading it once I'm done with the classes. Let us assume you are not joining any institution. In that situation, class 11th and class 12th NCRTs. There are 2 NCRTs of class 11th and 2 NCRTs of class 12th. Personally, I would prefer class 12th NCRTs because class 11th, there is slightly theoretical perspective to it and it is more advisable for sociology optional student. So for GS perspective, if you're reading class 12th NCRTs, that would be more than enough. So class 12th, there are 2 NCRTs, Social Change and Development and Indian Society. So both these NCRTs have to be prepared. That's it. Second thing is, there is no standard book which is available in the market. There is no Lakshmikant for Indian Society. I'm so sorry. So for that, what you can do, if you can get access to our notes, printed notes or classroom notes, good enough. Even if you cannot, इतना कोई घाई नहीं है. क्लास 12 की दोनों NCRTs पढ़ो. उसके बाद जो भी करंट अफेयर्स है ना, सोशल इश्यूज, ठीक है, वेदर फ्रॉम आवर इंस्टीट्यूट और एनी अदर access, or even if you are reading newspaper, that would be a brilliant thing if you're doing that in detail. That has to be done. So from the newspaper or from the current affairs, the social issues have to be incorporated. I've already told you that how the syllabus have to be deconstructed, what all topics needs to be referred. So in case you come across any article, how that article has to be used. You know how to use the data. Is that very clear? Please remember, in every answer that you were writing, especially in Indian society, there is a lot of scope of quoting schemes, quoting statistics, and that enriches your answer. Please do that. Please do that. Is that very clear? So finally, I'm just giving you one perspective that how social issues in general has to be prepared. उस social issue में आप कुछ भी डाल देना. Any social issue, whichever social issue comes to your mind, let us say child labor. What is concept of child labor? ILO की definition तैयार कर लो. Any labor which deprives the child of their childhood, dignity, potential, harmful for their cognitive, physical development, वो definition हो गई. Statistics तैयार कर लो. According to census, 10 million, 10.1 million child labor are there in context of India. It is 7.3% of the global problem of child labor. I'm just giving you an example. So you can prepare the concept, you can prepare the statistics. When you have to prepare the causes, there are different ways of preparing the causes. For example, I'm just giving you different techniques. Either prepare push factor, pull factor, or prepare social cause, economic cause, cultural, political, anything, environmental, जो भी fix, जो वहां पे fix हो रहा हो, as in given the topic. For example, if the topic is child labor, I will prefer push factor and the pull factor. Totally depends upon you. Administrative causes भी लिख सकते हो. That how you are taking this. Then if I have to talk about consequences and implication, obviously social consequence, economic consequence, that is one way of doing it. Otherwise, there is another way of doing it. The consequence for individual, consequence for family, consequence for nation, and consequence for the status of nation at global level. Child labor. What would be the consequence for the child who is performing the labor? What will be the consequence for the family? What will be the consequence for the nation? How it is going to impact the status of nation at the global level? Government efforts, we have already talked about. Constitutional efforts, statutory efforts, schemes, international conventions, etc. Constitutional efforts, you have Article 23, Article 24, statutory child labor की बात कर रही हूँ, statutory child labor prohibition act, schemes, national child labor policy, national child labor project, international वो ठीक है आपका international convention of ILO 138, 182, so all of those is nothing but international convention. पढ़ोगे आ जाएगा, ठीक है. Lacunas, obviously there would be certain lacunas that despite so many provisions, child labor is still persisting. That means there are certain problems. That is nothing but challenges that you have to write. Then you have to suggest way forward. There are two ways of writing way forward: short term, long term, or you can write infrastructural, implementational, and attitudinal. I am just telling you different ways of preparing. That's it. So this is just one example to show how the content can be prepared. Now up to you. Jitna kar sakte ho utna acha hai. Is that very clear? So I hope whatever we have discussed as far as social issues or Indian society is concerned, things are getting clear. If you still have any doubts, please feel free to ask. Okay? I have to very quickly take up with you post-independence. Acha haan, newspaper. Any newspaper which you find interesting. Indian Express, Hindu, Mint, whichever newspaper. I would not say just stick to one newspaper or you have to read the entire newspaper right from page 1 to the end. You will learn, and with time, with more understanding of the demand of this exam, you will realize that there are certain important topics in everyday newspaper. Only those topics are supposed to be read, not everything. ठीक है? तो उतना with time, with experience आप सीख लोगे. ठीक? But yeah, newspaper reading is important. इसलिए नहीं कि बहुत content ढूंढना होता है उसमें से. Newspaper reading से ना thought process develop होता है. Opinion building होती है. ठीक है? So you have to learn that. ठीक? And you have to get used to it. किसी ने पूछा ना English terminologies जो होती हैं, you learn from newspaper. There are specific terminologies which, if written in the answer, that has nothing to do with English. That is the vocab of a proper subject. For example, you are writing about ostracization, sensitization, right? Or exclusion for that matter, feminization, casteization. These are terminologies, the basic terminologies in the social capacity. ये आना चाहिए और ये आ जाएगा, ये कोई बहुत भारी भरकम बात नहीं है. And this has nothing to do with English as such. These are the vocab. अब फिजिक्स केमिस्ट्री पढ़ते हो तो उसमें भी तो कॉन्सेप्ट पढ़ते ही हो ना, इंटीग्रेशन डिफरेंशिएशन मैथ्स में पढ़ते ही हो ना. वैसे ही हर सब्जेक्ट की, हर एक सेक्शन की अपनी वोकैबुलरी होती है. दैट वोकैबुलरी नीड्स टू बी लर्न्ड. ठीक है? Very quickly, post-independence India, let's start. I don't have much time. The other faculty is waiting. See, unnecessarily, I will not tell you to prepare a lot of things. As far as post-independence is concerned, it was also added in 2013. And in 2013, there were 5 questions which were asked that time. So we were like, a lot of weightage is given and all that. Uske baad, there was not even a single year where the question was asked. In 2016 में एक question था वो which you could have answered from Indian society also. But having said that, UPSC can change the pattern anytime. This is unpredictable examination rather than Union Public Service Examination. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that they can change the pattern anytime. And since it is a part of your syllabus, you cannot overlook it, right? But unnecessarily devoting too much of time is not required. You have to be a smart worker, first thing. Second thing is post-independence can come very handy when you have to write evolution of something or you have to understand the contemporary reality. Why polity is operating in a certain capacity, why economy has shaped in a certain way, why this regional issue has emerged in today's time, or the international relations also. If you're studying India-China relation, you should have an idea about 1962 India-China war. If you are trying to understand India-Pakistan relation, you have to talk about all the 4 wars which has happened in the past. If you are trying to understand the challenges to democracy, you should know what has happened during emergency period. Right? And if we are talking about the regional crisis, you should know what was the problem of Assam. If you are trying to understand NRC today, you have to understand the Assam crisis of 1979 to 85. तो पढ़ना बड़ा मजेदार चीज है. बट उस पर बहुत ज्यादा टाइम अननेसेसरली डिवोट करने की जरूरत नहीं है. देयर इज अ डॉक्यूमेंट्री प्रधानमंत्री, यू कैन वॉच दैट एंड ट्रस्ट मी, उसको भी बहुत एजुकेशन पर्पज से मत सुनना या देखना. इट शुड बी मोर ऑफ सीकिंग अवेयरनेस दैट एज इन व्हाट हैज हैपेंड. एक क्यूरोसिटी जनरेट होती है ना, व्हाट हैज हैपेंड इन पास्ट, how Hindu code bill has shaped, why constitution has been structured in a certain manner. There is always an inquisitiveness, a curiosity. So that curiosity needs to be addressed. First thing, essay writing में background लिखने के बड़ा काम आता है post independence India. ठीक है. और समटाइम्स टॉकिंग अबाउट लीडरशिप, क्योंकि एथिक्स के पेपर में आपको लीडर्स कोट करने होते हैं, तो लाल बहादुर शास्त्री, जवाहरलाल नेहरू, एपीजे अब्दुल कलाम, पता होना चाहिए व्हाट सैम मानेकशॉ, इफ यू हैव टू टॉक अबाउट. सो ऑब्वियसली he has played a very significant role in the victory in 1971 war. So you can quote those examples, but वो तो तब करोगे ना जब पता होगा क्या हुआ है पास्ट में. Is that clear? So in that capacity it becomes very important. Social movements you will study in post-independence. So what I'm doing now is, there are basically two books. One is Bipin Chandra, okay, India Since Independence, and there is one other book, Ramchand Guha, India After Gandhi. See, Ramchand Guha, both are very bulky books. I would prefer that you read Bipin Chandra. And with Bipin Chandra also, not every chapter, only those chapters, I am giving you a complete flowchart of the topics which is important from post-independence perspective. Just prepare those topics from that book. That's it. Nothing else is required. क्योंकि this is minimum. I am not saying कि इसी में से सब आ जाएगा. Obviously, I cannot take that guarantee ना. You कल को नहीं आया तो आप बोलोगे मैम आपने कहा था. तो guarantee तो UPSC की मैं किसी चीज के लिए नहीं ले सकती. But this is minimum that you can prepare. That much I can assure you. ठीक है. And you should prepare. That's the second thing which I'm saying. Trust me, once you read this, you will get an idea of background of any issue. That's important also. Second thing, some content fodder would be prepared for essay writing. Third thing, if the question directly comes from post-independence, it's a win-win situation. And it will also help you in citing those examples to justify your arguments. So in a way, post-independence can come handy in all these capacities. But not too much time needs to be devoted. There is one book, I've already told you, Bipin Chandra, India Since Independence, refer to that. Second, not all the chapters, I'll be giving you the flowchart. Second is Pradhan Mantri video documentary, which is already there, which you can watch. It's fun watching. बड़े अच्छी कहानियां, and the way the things are shown, it's quite interesting. So trust me, it will not be a waste of time. So let me give you the flow chart. So this is how you will be preparing yourself. क्योंकि अगर मुझे आपको सिलेबस दिखाना हो, just look at the screen. 2013, there were 5 questions, 10 marker each. 2016, there was 1 question. After that, before that, there was no question. तो मैं कोई false hopes नहीं दूंगी. But again, UPSC can any time change their pattern. ये उनका कोर्स है. Post-independence consolidation and reorganization within the country. That's it. तो इसीलिए I am giving you a detailed flow chart just to understand how to prepare this topic. एक बार के लिए हटा सकते हैं स्क्रीन? You must be thinking कि एक तरफ तो मैम ने कहा कुछ नहीं पढ़ना and there are so many topics which are given. Trust me, जब पढ़ने बैठोगे, these topics are not very long. In fact, these are interesting stories. So there is nothing called padhana. It is more about collection of information which has happened in the past and arranging them in a proper manner. Nehruvian era, integration of princely state, linguistic reorganization. अब देखो linguistic reorganization तो society में भी पढ़ोगे. Official language issue, you will be studying in society. Then Hindu code bill, obviously that is important. Then tribal consolidation, tribes, vulnerable sections. Anyway, you have to prepare for GS paper 2. Then foreign policy of Nehru. IR में वैसे भी पढ़ते हो. India-China war of 1962. You will be studying in order to understand India-China relations better. Then Shastri's era. All the challenges which were existing that time. Then Indo-Pak war of 1965, followed by Tashkent Agreement. And then the slogan which he gave, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. Not much happened during his time because he did not survive. So Indira Gandhi's leadership period can be divided into 4 parts. If you look at these events, these are very small incidences. तो कोई बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं, but पता होना चाहिए. Bangladesh Liberation War is important. Why am I saying coalition politics? Because that was the emergence of coalition era, especially at state level. And there was a major split which happened in Congress. तो ये events पता होने चाहिए. Then Bangladesh Liberation War, this is important from the academic point of view. Then obviously this is important during this period, Gujarat unrest, Bihar unrest, Jai Prakash Narayan movement, followed by emergency. This is important. 77 to 80, for the very first time, Congress lost power at the center. But 80 again, Indira Gandhi came to power. However, the last leg was followed by Assam crisis, important. Kashmir crisis, important. Punjab issue, very important, which was followed by Operation Blue Star and assassination of Indira Gandhi. Immediately after that, Rajiv Gandhi came to power. During Rajiv Gandhi, since it was the 100th year, 1885 में कांग्रेस बनी थी, 1985 में. So 1985 में it was the 100th year. So a lot of steps were taken for the development. Technological missions were there, Operation Blackboard. Then obviously Ministry of Environment was created. Women empowerment के लिए lot many things. So you should be aware of it. ठीक है. Apart from that, three significant incidences was Shah Banu case, Bofors scam, and Sri Lankan Civil War. Sri Lankan Civil War again is very important from the academic point of view. Shah Banu is very important from academic point of view. But Bofors is important to understand the shift, the transition from Rajiv Gandhi to VP Singh government. Now, post 1990s, since majority of the topics would be covered in your economy, will be covered in your polity. So here, the important areas would be Babri Masjid demolition, Mandal Commission, Pokhran test, and Kargil war. With Kargil war, the chronological aspect of post-independence would come to an end. You will be focusing on land reforms, that is miscellaneous topic. So you will be studying about land reforms. Within land reforms, you will be talking about cooperatives also. You will be talking about Bhudan, Gramdan movement. Green revolution from social capacity has to be understood, because green revolution, land reforms to certain extent you also study in economics and geography. However, in post-independence, it will be more from the social aspect. And most importantly, social movements. See, now farmer movement becomes very important in the backdrop of the protest which is happening, right? So farmers movement, women movement, they have asked the question already. Dalit movement, they have already asked. So environmental movement, farmers movement, women movement, Dalit movement, these are basic movements which you have to prepare. So they do tend to ask the question. Is that very clear? So this is how post-independence has to be prepared. Very quickly, I hope you are getting an idea that how it is supposed to be covered. I hope my intent is getting conveyed. Let's just look at those 5 questions. कुछ पढ़ना नहीं है, बस आपको सिर्फ इतना बताना है कि क्वेश्चन ऐसे ही आते हैं. Discuss the objectives of Bhudan Gramdan movement and their success. कुछ है ही नहीं इसमें. If you know, you know. Write a critical note on the evolution and significance of the slogan Jai Jawan Jai Kisan. कोई rocket science नहीं है. 4th question, analyze the circumstances which has led to Tashkent Agreement in 1966. Discuss the highlights of the agreement. If you've studied 1965 war, you know. Last, critically examine the compulsions which prompted India to play a decisive role in the emergence of Bangladesh. If you have studied Bangladesh Liberation War from academic perspective, you will not go wrong. Is that very clear for everyone? Is it making sense? Okay. Last thing. If any event has to be prepared, then how it has to be prepared. बस वो बता देती हूँ. Let us suppose you are preparing any war, like Bangladesh Liberation War or 1965 war. How will you prepare? First, background. Or you can say premise. Then obviously there would be certain cause. But within every cause, there is a precipitating factor. The factor which immediately leads to war. So there is always a precipitating factor. Then course of the event or any war. Consequence. Analysis. Background, premise, causes, precipitating factor. Precipitating factor मतलब the immediate factor. Although बहुत सारे factors होते हैं, but that immediate factor which has resulted into that incident or event, then obviously course of event, what has happened during that event, then obviously what has been the consequence and overall analysis. So if you keep these things in the back of your mind, then understanding that how in academic capacity it has to be prepared, it becomes easy. Is that very clear? So I hope things have fallen in place as far as society, social issues and post-independence is concerned. If you have any doubt, please let us know. And this is all from my side. And all I want to tell you is that make the most judicial utilization of your time, because time and tide wait for none. So never ever waste your time. And you need to understand कि बीता हुआ समय किसी के लिए वापस नहीं आता है. And most importantly कि अगर आज हम अपने समय की कद्र नहीं करेंगे, तो एक टाइम के बाद समय भी हमारी कद्र करना छोड़ देगा. I'm sorry for using Hindi, but I wanted to tell this because I totally believe there have been lot many incidences in our past also where we we have not taken our time seriously, where we thought that अभी तो बहुत टाइम पड़ा है, कर लेंगे, अभी तो बहुत टाइम है. टाइम कैसे बीत जाता है सच में नहीं पता चलता. तो take small steps and you will be studying ethics. There you will understand that there is a concept called emotional intelligence, right? And emotional intelligence says that you have to learn to control your emotions. Don't let your emotions overpower you. Okay? So have or become a person who is in a very balanced state. Try to, I know there's too much to ask for kids. You are kids. I mean, 20, 21-year-old kids. So not much of wisdom is expected, and neither I will do that. So what I'm just trying to say that try to make yourself a better version of yourself every day. Try to improvise upon your performance every day. वो बोलते हैं ना बूंद बूंद से घड़ा भरता है. ये मत सोचो कि आज ही बिल्कुल बेस्ट पॉसिबल एस्पिरेंट बन जाओ या बेस्ट पॉसिबल ह्यूमन बीइंग बन जाओ. वो पॉसिबल नहीं है. Take small baby steps. Success has no elevator. You have to take steps. Is that clear? So take those small steps and try to become a better version of yourself as compared to what you were yesterday. Is that clear? So on this note, I will conclude this session. I hope it has added some value to your preparation or has resolved some doubts that you have. And stay healthy, stay blessed, and all the very best for your preparation. Okay? Now the other faculty would be taking over.